He was like, you were very hard to be friends with. I was like, okay. He's like, not for me, because I have learned. He's like, but I can understand why you would be hard to be friends with for many people. And he kind of like broke it down. He was like, you always ask people like, what's new, what's going on? And he's like, oftentimes people don't have anything new or going on. He's like, so then what you do is you say, well, here are the things that I have going on that are new. And then people then perceive that as you being self-absorbed or whatever, when it's really, I just want to talk about anything that's new, or interesting. And so if someone's like, oh, I've got this split test going on my page, I'm like, cool, let's talk about that. He was talking me through that. He's like, and a lot of people basically, it's punishing to have you feel inadequate. Not, he's like, not because you're trying to, but like, and so it made me more aware of that. But at the same time, because I was talking to him, he's like, and you also don't want to talk to people who don't have new things going on, because, so it's self-enforcing, because I also am not, if someone who never has anything new, not taking any action on stuff, gets offended by me, I don't lose much. And so in some ways, I have continued that behavior because it has allowed me to continue doing what I want to do. And so anyways, it was just like a fun, interesting side. He's like, I have learned business so that we can be friends, which was like incredibly endearing. He's like, I learned about the stuff that you wanted to talk about so we could talk about it. I tweeted it. I was like, I hope everyone in the world has a friend like Trevor. Like
that's a different level, right?
I know, he's his homie. But I was talking to him, I was like, I'm much better about it now, but people avoided me way earlier on in my career. Like literally my team would avoid me because I was a doler of punishment. I was like, I would just tell them what they were doing wrong. And again, it was like, I didn't know as much. And so I was just like, hey, next time you answer the phone, do this, and this different. And so all they heard was like, you suck, and I just didn't know, you know what I mean? Like you learn. But I still feel like some of that ethos is carried to like today. And so he clarified, he's like, I don't think you are punishing as much anymore. He's like, but I think you are threatening. I was like, huh, interesting. He was like, obviously there's the physical component of it. He's like, but just the space you occupy in terms of the organization, like you hold someone's like their livelihood in your hand to a degree, like that's real, right? And then you have physical presence, which is another element depending on who you're with. And then there's also like the mental element, which is like you can probably deal some pretty serious damage if you want to. And so even the risk of punishment changes people's behavior around you. That's why I was saying like I have decided that I'm actually not I have not been very good at judging people's intent, because people don't act like themselves around me, which has been really interesting for me and also humbling, because I've seen so many of my decisions about people be wrong. Layla's never been fooled. She's a G because people let their guards down around Layla. And so then she gets to see a little bit more of how they act. I don't. So what happens is people get bad news from an employee, associate the bad news with the employee, punish the employee for the bad thing they feel. When really they'd be like, thank you for telling me. Thank you for being so accurate with the facts that you're sharing. Understood. And then it's like, I can still improve these two traits. They still always want to come to me because it's a Skittle, and it's a Skittle. Now maybe it's 2 Skittles if it's good news, but I still reinforce these behaviors. Now it's like, well then how do you give someone negative feedback? I think the easiest way I've seen Layla do it is just say, how do you think that went? Or hey, why don't you watch that call? Tell me what you think happened. And then honestly, most people, because they are pretty hard on themselves, actually come up with the things, and then you say, awesome observation. Skittle. Great job. Seeing that. Really good. And then the next time they fix it, Skittle.
This requires a lot of patience.
And skill. It's harder. Punishment's much easier. It's faster. So the easiest equivalent is, who reads more books? Someone who reads 600 words a minute and reads 2 books and then burns out on reading, or someone who reads 100 words a minute and reads for a year? The second one. Now, my argument would be that you can get that person with enough reward above 600 words a minute, but they might start at 50 and the other one might start at 600. The other one might get to 1200, it just takes longer.